Hi guys, I'm so excited to be sharing my chicken biryani recipe with you guys today. I have gotten so many requests about doing this. Now, as you guys may know, that biryani is such a popular South Asian dish when it comes to South Asian cuisine. I don't think I've come across anybody who doesn't like it. It's really popular, it's really delicious. There are a lot of different varieties of biryani. You can do meat biryani, chicken biryani, fish biryani, and vegetarian biryani. And the recipes have evolved. I think everybody makes it a little differently. Depending on the region, there's just so many varieties out there. So I'm gonna show you today how I like to make my chicken biryani. I hope you guys like it, and let's get started. I'm using bone-in chicken today. I have rice here, basmati rice. The tomatoes I have pureed because we're using a lot of tomatoes and I don't want tomato skin in the sauce. The onions are chopped. I have oil here. Some plain yogurt that is whisked. And these are all the whole spices I'm using. These are all the powder spices. These are dried golden prunes. Fresh green chilies. And fresh ginger and garlic. Here I have a little bit of tamarind paste and a lemon. We're going to use the lemon juice and a lemon zest. And this is for garnishing, some sliced lemon, fresh cilantro and mint. Here I have some red food color and yellow food color and a little bit of water. This is all optional. When I layer the rice, it's just to give it a little bit of color, but you don't have to have this. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is I'm using a nice large heavy bottom pan here. It's nice and hot. I'm gonna add the oil. And I'm using a light oil here. It's like a light vegetable oil. I'm gonna go ahead and add the onions. I want these nice and light golden brown, and that's going to take a few minutes. So getting the onions to a light golden brown can definitely take about like 8-9 minutes because I'm using 2 medium onions, so it's a lot of onions. I have the stove on high right now. So once they get light golden brown, then I will add my whole spices and the green chili. If I add it now, I don't want all those other things to burn. Okay, now as you can see, the color is getting nice and golden. I'm going to go ahead and add all of my whole spices. Got all kinds of good stuff in there. Some cumin, green cardamom, brown cardamom. I've got cloves in there, cinnamon, and I've added the green chili. I'm going to let these saute. That's when all the flavors of the whole spices will come out now that we're sauteing them in hot oil. And once the onions get more brown, then I will add the ginger and garlic. Okay, this is what it's looking like after a few minutes. You really want to watch it closely because once the onions get this color, they can easily burn. They're nice and golden brown. I'm going to add the ginger and garlic. Saute this not for long. Just cook out the rawness of the ginger and garlic. The stove is still on medium high. And as soon as this is sauteed and I can just smell those amazing flavors, I'm going to add the chicken in there. We're searing the meat because anytime you sear the meat, it's going to bring so much more flavor to whatever dish you're making. The stove is still on medium, so you can get a nice sear on it. And I'll continue to show you guys what that's going to look like. You can use boneless chicken, you can use chicken breast, chicken thighs. But I think there's a lot of flavor when you use bone-in chicken. So it can just be a preference. All right, I'm just gonna let it sear. Okay, once the chicken is looking like this, it's got little sear marks. Now I'm gonna add the rest of the ingredients. What I'm gonna do is I have olive pureed tomatoes here. I'm gonna add the powder spices to that, just so it's easier to mix. You can add them separately, but you know, there's a lot of chicken in there and sometimes it can just be a little hard mixing it all up. So you're gonna make sure the spices just get mixed evenly. I'm gonna add that. And next I'm gonna add the yogurt. I'm going to turn down the stove just a little when I add the yogurt. You could have mixed the yogurt into the tomatoes and spices as well. Again, just to make it easier when you're mixing it. I'm going to give it a good mix. So this way, when you turn down the heat, that prevents the yogurt from splitting because the yogurt is cold and the chicken is warm. So sometimes that can split the yogurt. So once I get this mixed up, I'm gonna turn the heat back up to medium high. I'm gonna add the tamarind paste. This is optional. If you don't have it, it's okay. Just add the prunes. And the prunes and the tamarind and the yogurt, that really just brings this amazing little bit of like a tart flavor. I'm gonna mix it really well and then I'm just gonna let this cook on medium. I'm not adding any water right now because all the tomatoes, that's gonna release water, the yogurt, the chicken will release some water as well. All right, now I'm gonna get the heat back up. All right, I've got the heat back up. I'm gonna let this chicken cook anywhere from 25 to 30 minutes because the pieces were a little large and it's bone in. So I'm gonna make sure it's all cooked through. The oil will rise. You'll be able to see the oil rise from the sides and the sauce will be nice and thick. And again, right now I'm not gonna add any water. I'm just gonna keep an eye on it and I will show you what it's gonna look like. This is what it should be looking like. My chicken is done. The oil has separated itself. It's kind of risen to the top. That's usually a sign that curries and dishes like this are done. I'm not going to add any more water because when you layer this on the rice may get really soggy. And we don't want that. So I think this is a nice consistency of the gravy. It should be like this. Now with the lemon, I'm just gonna zest some of this lemon in here because I love the flavor of lemon zest, and I'm just gonna squeeze the juice of this lemon in there as well. I don't want to waste any lemon zest. I love lemon zest. Okay. I'm just gonna cut it. I think I'm just gonna do half the lemon. I'm just gonna give it a good mix. It's smelling so delicious. Okay, and just garnish it with just a little bit of this cilantro and mint that I have on here. All right, the chicken's done. Now let's work on the rice so we can get done with this and I can show you how I'm gonna layer it. All right. Wanted to mention a few things about the rice. Usually when I'm making chicken biryani, I cook the rice fully, like boil the rice until it's fully done and then layer it with the chicken, because usually I'm putting it like on a big platter and kind of arranging the layers so I don't put it back in the pot. But if you like to steam the chicken and the rice together, you can definitely parboil the rice, which means like you don't fully cook it, you half cook it. drain the rice, and then you layer it back in the pot with the chicken, the rice, however many layers you want, and then you can steam it and then just let it finish off. So that's definitely an option. Many times, again, if I'm cooking, I just want to be done with it, I'm putting it in a platter. So this is just the way that I like to do it. Another thing, the chicken and the rice ratio can just really be your preference. For about 2.5 to 3 pounds of chicken, I like to do 3.5 to 4 cups of rice. I don't want a lot of extra rice left over, and if you do too much rice, the flavorings can just be off, but I want just enough rice that even if you're done with the chicken, you can still have some extra rice. So that again will just be your preference. So let me continue to show you what it's looking like. Here in a large pot, I have some water boiling. I'm gonna salt the water and give it a good mix. You definitely want to salt the water enough to make sure the rice has flavor. And now I'm gonna add my rice. I've rinsed this rice about 4 or 5 times till the water was running clear. Now I'm gonna boil this rice till it's fully done. All right, we are almost coming to the end of making this chicken biryani. The chicken is done, the rice is done. Like I showed you, I boiled the rice till it was fully done. I drained it, I put it back in the pot, covered it with a lid so just the steam can make it a little bit more fluffy and soft. I've got my nice big platter out here to show you guys how I like to layer my biryani. So let's get started on that. Okay, now depending on what size pan you're using, you can create as many layers of the rice and chicken as you prefer. Usually when I use a platter like this, I will do half of the rice on the bottom, the chicken in the middle, and then the final layer of rice on top. Today I had just seasoned the rice water with just some salt. Sometimes I do some whole spices as well. But if you do season the water with some whole spices, the rice won't be as white. It will get not brown in color, but it will kind of just get a little beige in color. So that can be just your preference. Okay, so first I've got one good thick layer of rice. And just spread it out evenly. Okay, once the rice is done, here I have the food coloring and water. You don't want a lot because you don't want the rice to get really soggy. But again, this is just a preference. Usually I just do this for presentation because when you add the chicken's got the turmeric color in there, so you'll get a nice yellow color. You can also do a little bit of saffron, but the saffron doesn't give you a really dark color. But again, you can just really skip this if you don't want to add any food color. So I just add a little dots just like this. Now I'm gonna add the chicken. And then what I do is I just layer all of the chicken. And again, depending on what size pan pot you're using for serving, whatever dish you're using, you can just layer it accordingly. I'm gonna get all the big pieces down. Evenly, like this. So this way, with each serving, you get rice from the top and the bottom, and you get a piece or two of the chicken. I think I still got a few more pieces in there. Okay, this is all the chicken. Now I'm gonna get some of the sauce. And I don't get too much of the oil. Just enough because you don't want a lot of the oil settling at the bottom. Okay. But you still want a good amount of sauce as well because you don't want the rice just to be dry. Now I've got the fresh chopped cilantro and mint. You don't have to do both. If you don't like cilantro, you can just do a little bit of mint. I just like a combination of both. Now I'm gonna add my final layer of rice. Okay. Just get all the rice in there. So you guys can see how much sauce I have left in there. Then what I like to do with the rest of the sauce is just kind of dollop some all over, because I like a little bit of that gravy in every bite with the rice. And here are those plums. And top with more cilantro and the mint. I have some cut up lemon just for presentation. And just a little bit of lemon juice at the end. And that's it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. That's it for my chicken biryani recipe. For the full detailed recipe, please visit the blog cookingwithshazia.com. I will see you guys next time. Bye.